Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على نبيه ومصطفاه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. All praise due to Allah alone, we praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is the truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, no one can show him guidance. May the best peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda. The phone numbers are as usual: area code 002-023855, 248 or 249, and our email address is ask@huda.tv. Okay, without any further ado, we have a couple of pending questions. The first is from Sister Nisa from United Arab Emirates. She said she and her husband had an intercourse during the fasting hours of Ramadan on two separate occasions by mistake. Do I need to pay fidya even though it was by mistake? I say, and Allah knows best. Number one, what's restricted during the fasting hours from dawn till sunset? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ ثُمَّ أَتِمُّوا الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. The fasting hours begin at dawn and the end at sunset. During this time, it is not permissible to eat, nor to drink, or even take medication, nor is it permissible to have an intercourse, or the foreplay which may lead to an intercourse. A young man once came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him whether it is okay to kiss his wife while fasting during the fasting hours of Ramadan. He said no. It's very interesting that whenever another questioner walked by and asked the same question, the Prophet ﷺ allowed him, because the later questioner was an older fellow. So the Prophet ﷺ explained, because there is a desire from the younger person that he may not be able to control himself. So if you're talking about a mistake that you just started and you could not control it, you could not stop it, then you're blameworthy. But if you're talking about a mistake that you did not know, it is prohibited to have an intercourse during the fasting hours. That's a different issue. So in the first case, if one indulge into having a sexual relations during the fasting hours, that incurs 5 things. Number one, a major sin. That's a great sin. Eating or drinking or having jima' or an intercourse during the fasting hours. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that while he was asleep, bayna ana na'im, two angels came to him and took him in a tour. Amongst what he saw people being punished in fire. They were hung, shackled from their feet and upside down, and he saw their cheeks were injured with incisions and they were bleeding. He inquired about them and he was told, those are the people who break their fast before the breakfast time, before sunset. So it's a major sin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pardon us. Number 2, fasting is invalidated. Number 3, the person who invalidated his or her fasting must continue fasting even though the day is messed up, but they still must abstain from eating and drinking and having further relations during the day. Number 4, wujub al-qada. You must make up the day after Ramadan, obviously. Number 5, wujub al-kaffara. The ransom and the penalty is due in this condition, which is in order freeing a slave neck. We don't have that anymore. Then we go to the number 2, which is fasting for 2 consecutive months. Fasting 2 consecutive lunar months, 60 days. For each day they indulge into sexual relations during the fasting hours of Ramadan. Just to tell you how severe it was. So since the sister said we've done it on 2 different days, 60 days the kafara, fasting for each day. So the total will be 120 days. In case the person is physically ill, cannot tolerate fasting, in this case, we will resort to the third option, which is feeding 60 miskin or poor person for each day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sorry, Maryam, to keep you on hold for so long.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
From the United Kingdom, I'm sorry, Maryam, once again.
I just want to ask about making dua in sujood. When you pray in Jamaat, can we make dua in sujood? And also, if we can't, when you're praying alone, can you make dua in Farz or any other salah? Which salah can we? And if we don't know Arabic language, can we make it in our own language, the dua in sujood?
Okay.
Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazak. Thank you, Maryam. Sister Noura from Sudan. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you?
I just remembered your answer regarding tahajjud prayer after you've done your tarawih and witr. If I have completed 8 of tarawih and 3 witr, and I wake up in the morning to do my tahajjud, do I need to do another 2 witr? Jazakallahu khair.
Okay, wa jazakum. Okay, I guess this question has been answered repeatedly, but it is necessary to explain to the viewers, maybe newcomers, people who have not watched the program before, especially this is something happens very frequently. People have to pray watch every night. So we say, the Prophet ﷺ said in the sound hadith, لا وتران في ليلة. You are not allowed to pray witr twice in the same night. The purpose and the idea of ending up and finishing the night prayer with a witr so that it will be odd, singular. You pray 1 or 3 or 5 or 7 so that it will be odd. The number will be odd. But if you pray 1 or 3, then once again after tahajjud you pray 1 or 3. So the total sum will be in even, not in odd. And that's why we're not allowed to pray 2 witr in one night. Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated, and the hadith is in As-Sahihain, collected by both Al-Bukhari and Muslim, that the Prophet ﷺ said, Salatul layli masna masna. You pray at night 2 by 2. And in case that you fear the approach of the Fajr, there is only a few minutes, then now you pray witr, fa'awtir. And al-witr means odd. It's got to be 1. The least unit, or 3, and that is the most ideal, and it can be 5 or 7 or 9. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. Maryam from United Kingdom also asking about making dua in sujood. It is legislated by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is highly recommended, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أما الركوع فعظموا فيها الرب وأما السجود فأكثروا فيه من الدعاء فقمن or فقمن أن يستجاب لأحدكم, which means in sujood increase making dua excessively, because it is most likely to have your dua answered if you make it while in prostration, because the Prophet ﷺ said in another occasion, أقرب ما يكون العبد من ربه وهو ساجد. We are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by our actions. The more we do good and righteous deeds, the more we draw nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The nearer we get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The closest position a person can be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is while he or she is in the position of sujood, lowering down and prostrating his forehead and nose against the ground. This is a position which Allah likes most. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَأَكْثِرُوا مِنَ الدُّعَاءِ وَأَنْتُمْ سُجُودٌ. A non-Arab person does not have an Arabic mother tongue, does not know Arabic. Does he have the right to communicate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in sujood, in dua, in his own mother tongue? Yes, it is permissible if the person does not know the Arabic language. As I always say, it will be best if you memorize the Quranic verses which contain invocations. You can always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and invoke Him through them in sujood and otherwise. Assalamu alaikum. Muhammad from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, fine. I have 3 questions. I will try to keep them short.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my first question is about Adam alayhi salam. When Adam alayhi salam ate from the forbidden tree in Jannah.
Okay, would you please repeat the question again, Muhammad?
Yes, my first question is about Adam alayhi salam.
Yeah.
Prophet Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when Prophet Adam ate from the forbidden tree in Jannah,
Mm-hmm.
it was Satan that gave him the idea. So I want to know how was Satan in paradise.
I still didn't get the question. You want to know what?
I want to know how was Satan in Jannah.
How Satan was in Jannah? Okay.
Yes. My second question is about these people wear these soccer shirts. Now they have some logos which may be of the gambling companies or banks which deal with riba. So is this permissible to wear?
Okay.
And my third question is about paying zakah on gold. My mother, she didn't pay zakah on gold for 5 to 10 years. Now she wants to pay on it for those 5 to 10 years. Now how can she pay it on it?
Okay.
And this, another part of this question is that now my mother doesn't earn any money. So now she told my father to pay. But my father says that since the property belongs to my mother, so she should pay. Now who should pay the zakah? Should my mother sell gold and pay zakah or my father?
You are on whose side, Muhammad?
No, my father and mother are together.
Okay, you on whose side? Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah.
Okay.
Anyway, Jazakallah khair. Naima from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Go ahead, Naima.
Yes, sir. I'm thankful for all the good work you're doing, and I have a
Alhamdulillah,
private
thank you.
question for you. I have taken your number. I'll call you later, and I hope you will answer me because I'm a confused person and I need some guidance.
Go ahead.
At the moment, I'll just say thank you very much for all your good work, and I'll call you in private again.
Oh, okay, no problem. Jazakumullah khairan, Sister Naima. Thank you so much. Next. Okay. This is another very interesting question from Abu Bakr from Nigeria. The question is pertaining, what should a man do if he cannot satisfy his wife sexually? And I also heard it that, what would a woman do if she's not sexually satisfied? It is amazing that Islam has discussed all of that, and you will find opinions of the scholars based on references, whether from the Quran or from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. For instance, the scholars said the husband must take care of his wife's sexual needs, exactly as he desires her to take care of his sexual needs and satisfy him. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and live with them on the basis of kindness, equality. Accordingly, Ibn Hazm, may Allah have mercy on him, concluded from another verse, that's verse number 222 of Surah Al-Baqarah, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, there was a question pertaining the menses. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَإِذَا تَطَهَّرْنَ فَأْتُوهُنَّ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَمَرَكُمُ اللَّهِ. So when your spouses, when your wife, her period is over and she takes ghusl and she is in a state of tahara, then you are allowed to embrace her sexually in the position that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed you. In the in the private part, the front orifice. So he said, then from this ayah, he understood that one must embrace his wife sexually at least once during the tahr, because he must fulfill the command. You know that how literal they are, so they take the text as is. So they consider this as a command, not as permissibility. So according to him, that at least once a month or during the tahr time, the husband must have an intimate relationship with his wife. While Al-Ghazali, may Allah have mercy on him, said that the least is once every 4 days. And where did he get this from? He based his view based on the fact that a man is allowed to marry up to 4. فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. So if he were to embrace his wives every day, then each one would get her turn once every 4 days. Anyway, it depends on the needs and the capacity of each one of the two partners. There are a couple who are extremely busy. They can barely see each other. And there are many families where the husband is abroad for a year or 2 or 3. Umar ibn Khattab did not allow a person to abstain or be absent from his wife for 6 months, the maximum. Excuse me. Because the wife has needs and demands too. Sexual needs, and desire. But sometimes there is necessity. He wants to put bread on the table, so he has to travel abroad. And they're okay with that. Both of them are okay. Only when the wife complains and says, I cannot take it anymore. I cannot tolerate it. I have needs. I'm a human being. I have a desire. And I am afraid to commit a sin or think about committing the sin. In this case, the scholar said, she then has the right to ask for divorce in order to find a way out instead of falling into the haram. So the average is once a week, or some people can have this intimate relationship once every day, or even more depending on their needs and capacity. But if there is no compatibility, there is no chemistry, and the wife feels abused, the wife feels that she does not get her rights, she has the right to ask for a divorce. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mahmoud from the KSA.
I have one question about myself, Sheikh. I had one juice in the fridge, but
Mahmoud, me and the viewers keep listening to your question several times because of the echo. Please mute your TV set, please.
What?
And brothers and sisters, every caller, make sure you mute your TV before calling. Okay? Jazakallah khair. Go ahead, Mahmoud.
Yeah, but I was drink a forget, Sheikh. The juice after Adhan, after Fajr Adhan. What do you see about forget, Sheikh?
You mean you drank after Adhan, after the Adhan al-Fajr. And I also heard you saying you forgot.
Yeah.
I did answer a similar question yesterday, and I said, a person who eats or drinks or have even an intimate relationship by mistake, out of forgetfulness, then he is not blameworthy, and their fasting is still valid. فَإِنَّمَا أَطْعَمَهُ اللَّهُ وَسَقَاهُ. Resume fasting, you do not owe any penalty nor ransom, nor do you have to make up that day. Okay? Any person who eats or drinks during the fasting hours by mistake or out of forgetfulness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pardon him, and he's not blameworthy. Does not have to worry about making up or paying fidya. Okay? Sa'id from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum. Zaid. I'm sorry.
Yes. Sheikh, the question is regarding to zakat. And one of the brother, he wants to know if the zakat can be paid to a needy person, but he doesn't want to pay the amount fully right now because he feels that he may spend it unnecessarily or whatever, and he wants to keep the money with the third person. And in future, he wants to give it like when the person's daughter's getting married or some reason like that. So he wants to know if it's possible to keep it as an amana and give it later on, or should it be paid immediately?
This way of paying zakah doesn't work with the zakah. Once the zakah is due, this money isn't yours. You have no right in it whatsoever. You must take it out and pay it immediately. Acting as a sponsor and I'm going to provide for him throughout the next year, this is none of your business. Once the zakah is due, this money in your wealth is like a malignant tumor. What happens when somebody is categorized or diagnosed with a malignant tumor, God forbid? We got to remove it. We got to eliminate it. إنها أوساخ الناس. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُم وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا. So this sadaqah will purify you and your wealth. You cannot keep it in your wealth for a month or two, or for a year or two, claiming that I'm going to support somebody else throughout the year or the years from this zakah. No, you're not a non-profit organization. So how can I do that legally? You can do that by paying the zakah in advance. By paying the zakah in advance. So I know that, inshallah, next Ramadan, I may end up owing $10,000 in zakah. Fine. You can start paying and distributing the zakah as salaries to the poor and needy people, suffice for their basic needs throughout the year, the next year. So that when Ramadan or the due date of the next year comes, we calculate how much you pay towards your zakah, how much is left or how much is extra, and so on. As far as somebody whose daughter is getting married and he wants to save the money for her, this is still none of our business. The zakah is due, pay to those who are in need for it as soon as it is due. Thank you, Zaid. Muhammad from Guinea. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, how are you, sir?
How are you, Muhammad?
Wa alaikum salam. I'm fine.
Go ahead.
I want to ask a question.
Yeah, please.
In case I don't know how to read the Quran with Arabic language, can I read it in English?
Okay. If you cannot read the Quran
it's difficult for me right now. I'm just about 23 years old, but I'm not fortunate to read the Quran when I was small. But now I'm conscious about Islam, and I'm joining Islam, but I don't know how to read the Quran. Can I read it in English when I'm praying, or what can I do?
I'm glad to hear that from you.
I don't know what I can do.
Okay, Muhammad, I'm very glad to hear that from you. Number one, as far as the salah, the prayers or the namaz, you must memorize the minimum requirement which will enable you to pray. Al-Fatiha, chapter Al-Fatiha. 7 verses. Very simple. You can get it down in less than half hour. Okay? Any person can do that. Then, you also memorize at-tashahhud or the Durud Sharif. And it's very simple for every person to say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim or Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. And that's it. As far as reading the Quran outside the Salah, since you do not know Arabic, you can read the English meaning and you'll be rewarded for that. But will that be sufficient? I'm glad you said, Alhamdulillah, now you're eager to learn. Because I have such a very good news for you. The Prophet ﷺ said in this good news, Al-Mahiru bil-Quran ma'a safarat al-kiram al-barara. One who is fluent in reading the Quran and masters the art of tajweed, his rank is in the ranks of the angels, the purified scholar. But one who reads the Quran with difficulty and hardship, وَيَتَتَعْتَعُ فِيهِ وَهُوَ عَلَيْهِ شَاقٍ, because he is a learner, he's a revert, his mother tongue is not Arab, so he is struggling in order to read the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the same language it was revealed with, receives double reward. So if an ordinary person, upon reading Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, for Alhamdu, Alif, Lam, Ha, Mim, Dal, 5 letters times 10, that's 50 good deeds for just saying Alhamdu. Lillahi, likewise. Rabbil Alameen, likewise. Each letter, you receive 10 good deeds for it, at least. And Allah gives manifold reward to whomever He wills. The person who is struggling to read the Quran because he is a learner, and it's not his language, receives double the reward of the first one. Does this mean, well, I'm better off, I don't have to learn, I would rather keep stuttering because I receive double reward? Okay. By the time you read Surah Al-Fatiha while stuttering, somebody else will get to finish 2 or 3 paras from the Quran, 50 pages, 100 pages. So there is a recent competition. And I want to assure you, if you are serious and sincere about your intention in learning how to read the Quran, I would remind you, 6 months from now, inshallah, you will be reading the Quran like an Arab. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. We've tried that repeatedly. Al-Quran and its learning is very easy for those who are serious about it. Jazakallahu khair. Thank you for calling in. May Allah keep you steadfast on the straight path. Fathiyya from Oman had another interesting question. She said, I have 3 boys, ages 6, 5, and 3. The 6 years old is fasting. Alhamdulillah wa shukrulillah. I'm glad to hear that. But when he sees his little brother eating and he breaks his fast, then he breaks his fast. What should I do? I just don't want you to forget that he is only 6. And it is not mandatory for him at this age to fast, but we're training him. So if it is difficult for him or if he's suffering, it is okay to eat at noon or afternoon or eat once a day, and you still keep encouraging him that you're still fasting, but because you are very sick or tired. I mean, we are in the stage of encouragement. He is not required to fast fully, but we're training him. So while we're training him, he has younger brothers. Those younger brothers are tempting him because he eats, and he's still young. The difference is only 1 year. So I would not really accuse him or consider him committed a mistake for eating or urging to eat with his younger brother. Take it easy, inshallah, and hopefully, inshallah, next year all of them will be fasting fully, inshallah azza jal. May Allah reward you for being keen on teaching your children how to fast. Assalamu alaikum. Adam from Italy. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You're calling from Italy, Rome, or where?
No, at Modena.
Modena. Okay. What time is sunset or Maghrib there?
Maghrib is 8. Let me tell you exactly.
So how many hours total do you guys fast?
Yeah, here we are almost 4 o'clock, 2 minutes to 4.
How many hours total fasting hours?
8 to 8.
How many?
I beg your pardon?
How many hours do you guys fast?
Now we are 4 o'clock now.
Okay. طيب, Adam, what's your question?
Yeah, my question is I need regarding distant prayers. Am I online?
Yes, you are online. I hear you.
Okay.
You're live.
My question is, can if Imam of the mosque, when he is not Hafiz al-Quran, can he read the distant on Astaghfirullah?
Can he read from the Quran?
Tarawih prayers, can he read Quran when holding the Quran?
Okay. Jazakallahu khairan. As far as holding the Quran in the Nafil prayer, first, such as in Tarawih, is it permissible? Well, according to the vast majority of the scholars, it is permissible. Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, said it is haram. And his reasoning behind that, he said, because if you do more than 1-3 movements, unnecessary movements in the salah, that would ruin your prayer. So, accordingly, if the person who's reading from the Quran have the Quran on a tripod, so he's not flipping the pages, he's not busy with carrying the Quran, would that be considered okay? If the effective cause of the prohibition, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, is the excessive movements, okay? While his students, Muhammad and Abu Yusuf, say it is just disliked, while the vast majority of the scholars said it is permissible. Do we have a proof to support either view? Yes, we do. We have the incident of the mother of the believers, Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, who used to pray behind somebody by the name Zakwan, who was a servant, and he used to read from the Quran. So if a person is in need to carry the Quran for himself, if he's praying tahajjud or tarawih or at home, it is permissible. It would be better if it is carried on a tripod. They have Quran where you have long pages, so you don't have to flip the pages or keep yourself busy in the salah. هذا والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم, and it is time to take a short break, so stay tuned.
Why? Righteous companions. It is Islam that given us the sense of dignity. I love all of them in a way that you cannot imagine. That Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anh would say something and the Quran would come down matching what he said. والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. Just compare what you did for Islam with just one of them.
The entire staff at Huda would like to wish you a wonderful and blessed Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have Zamani from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Dr. Saleh.
Sister Zamani, can you hear yourself?
Yeah, I can hear myself.
Okay, now mute your TV, please.
Yes. I want to ask one question. My younger son, he finished his MS in USA. He's searching for his job. I want to know which ayat and which surah I should recite to get help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a very blessed month, so I want to recite any surah, whichever you ask me to read, to get help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, حاضر. Inshallah I will. Okay. طيب. Suraya from United Arab Emirates. I'm just trying to wrap up the pending questions first, then inshallah I'll tackle to this question as well. She said, my husband and I have been married for a year and he moved out because she refused to pay half of the bills as he demanded so. As I said yesterday, I'm not going to tackle the issue that he does not pray now or he prays on and off, because I want to focus on one thing, which is the financial responsibility on whom? The husband, the wife, or the husband and wife on equal basis. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made men guardians over women, protectors for women, and made the man is in charge for the household, not the woman. This superiority of or preference and responsibility is due to the fact that وَبِمَا أَنفَقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. They're responsible to go out to earn their provision, to provide for their family members. So if this is the case, then it is agreed upon it that the man is required by Sharia to provide for his wife and his children. And when Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, may Allah be pleased with him, got very sick and he thought he will expire in that sickness, he asked the Prophet ﷺ to accept his entire wealth as a charity. He said no. He said half. He said no. He said 1/3. He said 1/3, and it's still plenty. It is better to leave your heirs rich rather than leaving them poor, begging people. So the responsibility is not only during this life, but if I have wealth, I have to manage it properly so that it will help my family members, particularly my youngsters, after my death. This is the original case. What if the couple agree that the wife wants to go out to work in a lawful job, she doesn't have kids now to take care of, and she has a safe place, she wants to work, and you both agree to that? Then it will be accepted if the wife chips in and participates in supporting the house needs, such as paying some of the bills or whatever, because now she goes out, and when the husband comes, nobody's cooking, they have to go out and eat, so it will be an overburden on the husband's shoulders. This is the case. That if the husband is in a financial need. So the condition that you mentioned, that he is financially desperate right now. He is going through a financial dilemma. And you're making your earning. He moves out to live with a roommate, and he wants you to move out to live with a roommate. So would you please consider each other as roommates? And instead of paying half of the rent to another roommate, and he too paying half of the rent to another roommate, why don't you live together? As long as he cannot afford it. The true responsible Muslim husband does not accept a charity from his wife unless if he's in need. You remember the incident of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud's wife, may Allah be pleased with him and his wife. He was extremely poor to the extent that he was entitled to accept zakah, while his wife was rich and she owed zakah. So when she was about to pay her zakah dues, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said to her, is there any person who is poorer than me and more eligible than me who deserves your zakah? She said, but you are my husband. He said, yes, I know, but I deserve it. So she says, not before I asked the Prophet ﷺ. And when she consulted the Prophet ﷺ, he approved that, but not the other way around. I cannot pay zakah to my parents, to my children, to my wife. They are responsible for me. It is my financial responsibility to provide for them and suffice for their needs. But it is not the financial responsibility of the wife to provide for the husband. So if she does so because he is poor, she can pay him out of the zakah. So if this is the case, sister, and he is broke and he's going through some financial disaster or adversity, I highly recommend that you can help him out financially. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Irshad from Oman.
Yes, Sheikh, how are you?
Alhamdulillah wa shukrullah.
Sheikh, this is regarding yesterday's answer that you gave on the praying on time before the prescribed time. I think the brother was a little bit particular on the Isha prayer. They were praying after 1.5 hours after Maghrib. Is that the time of Isha? When does it start exactly?
Was that your question?
Yeah. What is the time of Isha prayer? What time does it start?
Oh, okay. What time for Isha prayer? You want to go by the twilight? Would you be able to figure this out? Or you want to go by the calendar?
By calendar, because it's very difficult to go by.
Well, if this is the case, it's a piece of cake. Log on and to Islamic Finder and just write down the zip code or the zone where you are living at. And in one click, you will have the prayer schedule for each prayer everywhere in the world.
Okay.
Okay? Jazakallah khair.
Is that 1.5 hours after Maghrib by any kind?
Not necessarily. Okay? Maybe a little more, a little lesser. It depends. Okay? Thank you, Irshad. Barakallah feek. Abdul Hamid from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have a question that I'm unable to pray because of arthritis by normally.
Okay.
So I take the chair in the mosque. Just to maintain the saf, I have to bring the chair front and back while praying. When I go to sujood, I have to bring the chair forward, and when I stand, I have to take the chair back. Is this movement permissible or not?
It is permissible, and may Allah give you a quick shifa, and may Allah reward you. Even though you're sick, you're keen to attend the jama'ah in the masjid and tarawih. So I understand where you're coming from. You have to move the wheelchair forward while people are going for sujood in order to allow the person behind you to make sujood as well. If there is a designated area in the masjid for handicap where people are sitting on chairs, it would be better. But due to the necessity, it is okay, and that would not invalidate your prayer. Okay? Jazakallah khairan, Abdul Hamid. Fawziya from Nigeria. She says in her question, I received a cash gift from a friend who works in the banking interest industry. Is it okay for me to accept it? If I already accept it, what should I do with the money? Somebody whose wealth is mixed halal and haram, I may eat from their food and accept their gift if I want to. It is permissible. This is different than another case of wara or piety, where somebody doesn't want to allow anything into his stomach which may have haram source or even the doubt of being haram, such as the case of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, when he induced vomiting simply after eating few dates. He heard that his servant bought it from money that was earned unlawfully due to fortune telling or whatever. This is a condition of al-wara. Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah bless him, heard that there was a sheep or a goat was stolen. So he went to the butcher and he asked, how long normally would a sheep live? When he was told 2 years, he forbade himself from eating the sheep meat or the goat meat for that period. Why? He was afraid that the sheep which was stolen may end up in some store and we buy it, even though for him it is 100% halal. This condition of al-wara is individual, but we do not generalize it. We do not say you gotta treat yourself like Imam Abu Hanifa or Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, may Allah have mercy on him. Somebody whose earning is mixed, yes, and his wealth will be inherited. He will be responsible though for his haram earning, but his heirs can take his wealth and divide it and benefit out of it. His guests can eat from his food. That if the money is earned this way. But if the money itself is haram, such as if the money was stolen, or the money was money which is not mutaqawwam, does not considered as money in Islam, such as in the form of livestock, pork, pigs, or wine, then we cannot benefit out of this whatsoever. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shahzad from the case says, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Shaykh. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak to you, to your family, and to the entire Ummah. Thank you, Shahzad.
Thank you, Shaykh. So I'd like to thank you for this wonderful program for the past 3 years. I've been watching every Ramadan and I've learned a lot. May Allah bless you.
Thank you so much. Jazakallah.
Yeah, my question is, during the fast, is it possible that I can go to the dentist? Because usually they inject anesthesia into the gums and they spray into the mouth and stuff. So is it permissible?
Okay.
That's my question.
Okay. It is permissible to go to the dentist and have a tooth extraction or treatment, as long as you avoid swallowing the water or any medication. Do not allow anything through your esophagus or to go to your stomach. The anesthesia in general does not void the fasting, nor does it contradict the condition of siyam. Okay? Barakallah fi.
Okay.
Okay. Kamal from Khartoum said, I'm originally a Christian from Ethiopia, and I recently traveled to Khartoum where I discovered and embraced Islam. If I return home, they will, without doubt, kill me. What should I do? Do not go home. Do not go home. It's as simple as that. Why would somebody throw himself in fire knowing that he will get burned? Because the choice now is to be saved in the hereafter or to be saved in this life only. The first choice is to be saved in this life and in the hereafter. And the other choice is to be saved in this life only. Of course, there's no choice. Everybody would like to be saved in this life and in the hereafter. Do not expose yourself to the fitna which you cannot tolerate nor afford. Barakallahu fikum, and may Allah keep you steadfast on the deen. Muhammad from the KSA asked today about Adam when he was in heaven. How did the shaitan make it to heaven? First of all, Satan was not one of the angels, as some propagate. Satan was Satan since he was created. He's from the jinn. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Kahf, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ فَفَسَقَ إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ كَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ أفتتخذونه وذريته أولياء من دوني وهم لكم عدو بئس للظالمين بدلا. So this verse is an indication without doubt that الشيطان is from the jinn. And what was he doing in heaven? Satan, Shaitan, who misled Adam and tempted him and who refused to eat, who refused to bow down to him, was one of the righteous people. Not all the jinn are kuffar. And he was near, and that's why he happened to be among the angels when the angels were commanded to bow down to Adam in respect or greeting. So we happened to be there. So when they all bowed down, فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى. When Iblis refused, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeated the command exclusively for him. مَا مَنَعَكَ أَلَّا تَسْجُدَ إِذْ أَمَرْتُكَ. Why didn't you bow down to him as I commanded you? So there was another command to him in order to verify. Maybe he thought the command was only for the angels. So Iblis or Ash-Shaytan, before disobeying Allah's command, before having this great sin of disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, envy and hatred to Adam alayhi salam and to his offspring, he was among the dwellers of heaven. And he was kicked out as a result of his disobedience. Similar to Adam alayhi salam, since he too was among the dwellers of heaven, and as a result of sinning, him and his wife were kicked out of heaven. In addition to, there are of course some opinions that say that the Jannah which Adam alayhi salam was in was not the Jannah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepared for us in the hereafter. That's a long story. It can be read in details in the beautiful book of the stories of the prophets by Ibn Kathir. May Allah have mercy on him. I'm glad I remembered. One sister yesterday asked about an Islamic seerah book for children. I understand that there is, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the book of Muhammad, Encyclopedia of Seerah, that is published again by the Islamic publication. I trust very much their publications and their English translation as well. So, and there is, of course, if you want to read on your own and then make it simpler in explaining to your children, the magnificent book of Sheikh Mubarak Kafuri, may Allah have mercy on him, The Sealed Nectar. It is available in many, many languages, Arabic and English, of course, on top of them. Muhammad also asked about the soccer players or the sports players who wear socks in tournaments, have commercials of gambling company or beer companies or whatever. Haram. That is forbidden. Propagating or assisting those who do the haram is similar to doing the haram, particularly if it is wine or gambling. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. We are forbidden from assisting the wrongdoers and those who are indulged into sins in achieving or committing their sins or facilitating for them sinning. وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Zakah on gold, according to Abu Hanifa, yes, there is a zakah on gold versus the Jumhur, who do not require zakah on gold, especially if it is worn as adornment, similar to one's clothes. I normally say I feel much more comfortable with Imam Abu Hanifa's opinion in this regard. If you did not pay in the past 10 years, you don't have to, you can start right now. And who should pay the zakah? The person who possesses the gold. So it is the responsibility of your mother. And if she does not have, she can ask the husband. If he is willing, if he's not, then she has to sell some for gold in order to pay the zakah if it is zakatable. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Brothers and sisters, until next time, I leave you in the care of Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate